Hello everyone, this is part 10 of What If Naruto Gained Ashura's Memories, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. As the cheers quieted down, Naruto looked at the group with a smile. Hey, guys, what about some food at the Akamika's barbecue place? You're all my guests. Sasuke rolled his eyes. You wanted to say your guests, Ototo. Considering the minus on the Senju account, you only have the Uzumaki one. True, the fortune of an entire clan, which has been growing over the years, but still. Naruto huffed. Whatever. He looked back at the others. So, all the Chunin shared looks and then they agreed, Lee and Kiba being the loudest. Far from wanting to break your moment, Tsunade spoke up again, drawing many eyes to her. But a would like to speak with my newest Tokujo. They will join you shortly. After several nods, the group left, only leaving the brothers and the two Sannin in the office. What is it you wanted to speak to us about, Hokage-sama? Naruto asked. Tsunade seemed thoughtful for a moment. Usually this is not done. But I would like you two to join us our most recent investigation, as it concerns you both, I believe. What investigation? Danzo's death means we can put an end to his shady operations and disband his little organization, which we know as Root. Sarutobi-sensei had ordered it disbanded a while after the Kyuubi attack, but it was obviously not done. The Root headquarters had been found underground. Now, the two of you are involved, not only because of the discovery regarding the Uchihas, here she threw a look at Jiraiya, but also because of the Kyuubi. Naruto frowned. What does my Jinchuriki status have to do with this? He wanted to make you his personal little weapon. Jiraiya said darkly. Myself and Sarutobi-sensei struggled for years to keep his hands off of you. To give you a normal childhood. I think he would have tried getting his hands on Sasuke too, for his Sharingan, but he dropped D sooner. Good riddance. Sasuke hissed. If he wasn't already gutted, I would gut him now. Tsunade didn't say anything, only continued after a moment. There'll be several Anbu squads tonight. Jiraiya will also join, and since it's an operation inside the village, we thought it would be good for you to learn some more professionalism and intelligence gathering. Yamato and Kakashi will be considered active Anbu operatives for this occasion, and the four of you will be a team. They shared a look and nodded. Understood, Hokage-sama. It'll be marked in your files as an A-rank mission and you will get payment for it accordingly. Yamato and Kakashi will seek you out a few hours before the mission. And do not mention this to your peers. Understood. Tsunade nodded. Dismissed. Go. Have some fun with your friends. Kami knows you two are way too mature and serious. Enjoy life while you can. Jiraiya watched the duo leave with a thoughtful look. Once he was sure they were gone, the Gama Sennin turned back to his teammate. Are you sure this was a good idea? The promotion and involving them? Tsunade nodded. They are far more talented than the rest of the group, but I also understand Homura and Koharu's reluctance to make those two full-fledged jonin. Climbing the ranks too fast might break them, no matter how strong they seem right now. Climbing fast has almost broken Kakashi, coupled with the loss of his team, and while Itachi is still loyal, you're not making me eat the BS. That he is completely healthy, mentally speaking. Jiraiya sighed. I would think he's burdened too. Fugaku was Anis always been. It's a kind of surprise that Itachi turned out the way he is, with that man for father. Tsunade grunted and then looked at him with a raised eyebrow. Speaking of Itachi, do we have news about Akatsuki? Jiraiya grunted in irritation. No. It seems that for some reason, Akatsuki has been more careful. From what Itachi told me last time we met, they're gathering funds to launch something bigger, something that may lead to them hunting the Jinchuriki. Perhaps sooner than we first anticipated. Which brings us to Naruto. Tsunade murmured, taking azing of her sake. Jiraiya noted that ever since that fight with Orochimaru, he saw his teammate drink less. She still drank, but the amount had been decreased greatly. It was surprising to see her turn around in such a short time. Naruto's rarely good with words. He knows how to convince people. And while the Uchiha speaks less, his words are no less dangerous. In fact, His words had seemed to give more weight to Naruto's little lesson. Those two together, they could take the world and rule it, as long as they're side by side. Jiraiya thought. That realization was mind-blowing, even for him. Those two worked together like no other. They covered each other's weaknesses and their strengths seemed to support one another. Yes, Jiraiya agreed. I would say I want to train him, to take him away from here, to help him prepare for Akatsuki. Tsunade shook her head. I don't know them well just yet, but I didn't think they would agree to being separately for more than a week. Neither Sasuke, nor Naruto. In fact, in the light of the past, I'd say that Naruto is Sasuke's anchor to Konoha. If not for Naruto, we may have a Sharingan-wielding criminal, running wild. Jiraiya huffed. Probably. And I didn't seem to be able to teach them separately. Whatever I've shown Naruto so far, Sasuke had also seen it. True, he uses little of what I've shown, but, and then there's Naruto. He seems to be determined to pursue a medical profession. To be a frontline medic, like you. Fighting and healing all at once. Tsunade's hand froze mid-swing and she slowly placed the alcohol bottle on the desk. What? Him? A medic? He's the freaking Kyuubi Jinchuriki. He's not going to have enough control, not with his half Uzumaki heritage. Tsunade. Jiraiya see her off, he's using chakra-enhanced strength regularly. And when the Hokage were back, Hashirama-sama started teaching him. Tsunade stared and then drank all her remaining sake in one go. What are those two? Some freaks of nature. If it's true, then I could go and teach him the Byakugo. Jiraiya paled. To give even Morikaka and control to a literal, walking juggernaut. Kami-sama protect us then. Tsunade sighed. He has the Mokuton. It has special healing properties. If I teach him properly, he could be just as good as Gigi had once been. A world-renowned medic. But I still want to teach the kid Fuinjutsu. He has even more potential than Minato. He grunted with his arms crossed. But if we're speaking about Naruto, we can't ignore the Uchiha either. As long as they're on the same level and so close, he's not a flight risk. Tsunade folded her hands and rested her chin on them. You could teach him some more ninjutsu and taijutsu. Kakashi can refine his genjutsu knowledge, too. Yamato can still help Naruto with Mokuton and will teach him medical ninjutsu and maybe add some more to his taijutsu knowledge, if he really wants to walk in Senju footsteps. Jiraiya leaned against the wall, crossing his arms. And you teach the Uchiha chakra control. He doesn't have as much chakra as Naruto, nor can I see him as a medic, but he has a lot of chakra for his age. And it's surprisingly potent. For an Uchiha, better chakra control would be beneficial for his techniques. And he's also good with Kenjutsu. Perhaps we could rope Yugao or Hayate into teaching him. Tsunade nodded. Possible. Sarutobi-sensei had high expectations of those two and it seems, they could live up to said expectations, even exceed them, as long as we give them the means to improve. Perhaps they'll make it onto Jonin in a year. From what I've seen, their teamwork is hellish. I never thought I'd say something like this, but they easily beat the Inoshika Cho in teamwork. Yes, but what about the missions? They would need real-life experience, too. They're once-in-a-lifetime pair, I give you that, but their hands are not yet be. Not really. Tsunade shrugged. Perhaps you could take them on shorter trips. A field promotion, instead of exam. But then again, Jonin exams are always within the village and that might be good too. To show others, that despite the young age, they're worthy. Jiraiya shrugged. No idea. Kami, my genin team was much easier to deal with. Why can't Naruto be like Minato? Tsunade snorted. He's very much like Minato, Jiraiya. Any more like his father and the kid would be his father reborn. Which he is obvious in it, alter his skills are growing fast, she huffed. If we manage to get trough with this, we'll be creating the level of Madara and Gigi, she murmured. Jiraiya nodded, having the same thoughts. But then, his mind flashed to the conversation he had with the great Toad Sage just a few weeks ago, the chilling conversation about darkness and about Akkad of Proasi, who either saved or destroyed the world. Perhaps he had been wrong, it had never been Nagato, nor Minato. It was Naruto. Darkness covering the world, odd moon, like a sinister god watching, hanging in the sky, be flowing in rivers, the great sage had said. Yes, and its terrifying amount of power, but I have a vague bad feeling, that if we want those two to survive, they will have to be like Madara and your grandfather, in terms of power, he muttered, barely suppressing a cold shiver. The newest Chunin, Tokubutsu Jonin of the village were all sitting at the Akamika's restaurant, eating. Oh, look, here are our Froma students, a new voice spoke. Everyone stopped for a second, to see their senseis approaching. Kurenai was smiling, Guy had a huge, blinding grin on his face, and Asuma's calm expression was radiating pride. Sensei, several of the former genin called cheerfully. The adults grabbed a few chairs and completed the crowded circle. So, how does it feel to be Chunin? Kurenai asked. It's wonderful, Kiba said enthusiastically. One step closer to being famous. Woo. Akamaru barked in agreement, and the Jonin all chuckled at the usual Inuzaka antics. And you, boys? Asked Asuma, turning to Naruto and Sasuke. I heard you impressed Godime Sama and the elders. Tokujo on the spot, he hummed, you're quick to climb the ranks, like Kakashi had been. Sasuke shrugged. We were just doing what had to be done, plain and simple. But it also helps that we have wonderful senseis. Naruto added with a cheerful grin. Ma, that's sweet of you to say, Naruto, came a lazy drawl. Kakashi walked over to them, his stance relaxed. But really, you two would have been perfectly capable of the things you've done, even without us. Sasuke nodded. Maybe. But teamwork's essential, no. We stick together. Kakashi nodded. That we do, Sasuke. It's so unfair you two are already Jonin, murmured Kiba, scowling at them. Naruto scowled too, as he felt the jealousy rolling off of the feral boy. We worked for our promotion, besides, we're not entirely Jonin yet. He pointed out. Train and work hard, Kiba, and you will have your own accomplishments. Jealousy just tampers your improvement. Instead, sallow your pride and work with your team, together, not just on clan techniques. I'm not saying you leave your family, no, family is more important than anything, just be open to change. Ask others to help you, and if you ask nicely, I'm sure they won't say no. It's just patience and a lot of work. Everyone blinked at those words owlishly, trying to process their meaning. Kakashi hummed. As enlightening it is to listen to your words of wisdom, Naruto, we have work to do. Both boys' eyes snapped to him, turning sharp and focused in a blink. It's time, Sasuke asked, rising from his seat slowly. Kakashi hummed. I thought I'd go over the details before we start, as you've never been to a mission like this. So, finish your meals, say goodbye, and meet me on Namika's grounds in 20 minutes. Naruto nodded. We'll be there. Kakashi gave them an ice smile, stole some of Naruto's food, earning himself an outburst from the blonde, before disappearing. Naruto scowled at the spot where his sensei had been. That was my foot, he murmured sulkily. The others around him chuckled at his misfortune. Sasuke scoffed, Sharingan narrowing on the offending pieces of clothing. Stupid Anbu armor. How the hell are we supposed to? Need some help, came the calm, yet amused voice of Yamato from the door. The Uchiha rolled his eyes at the older Mokuton user. Why the hell do we need this anyway? We're not Anbu. Yamato walked up to him, showing how to hold the armor, to slip into it. You're not Anbu, true, but we don't know what may be down there. Tsunade-sama may have classified this an A rank. Both myself and Kakashi would feel better if you were dressed in this. You don't get masks, but we did get permission to borrow these. The Uchiha grunted. Even after so long, it was a bit surreal how protective the two Jonin could be, and that hadn't changed one bit, even after they told the two who they'd been once. You two forget what we were once capable of, he murmured, as Yamato secured his armor. Once, the brown-haired man said. You can't do it now, no Tiet. Until I didn't see that famous perfect Susanoo of yours, the one which was the originator to all of them, or Naruto's own avatar, we get to be protective. Susanju, or Varuna, Sasuke supplied calmly, as he picked up his tanto, securing it on his back, as per Anbu protocol. I'm sorry, Yamato asked, blinking at him. Ototo's avatar, Susanju, if he uses the 9 Biju's chakra. Just so we're clear. Yamato hummed. Whatever you say, I believe you. The point is, until I see either of those legendary avatars, you're putting up with our fussing, and that's it. Sasuke sighed, glancing at the ceiling. Oto-sama, give me strength, he murmured under his breath, Sharingan skidding about the room, as if he wished hard enough, the legendary man would appear. He had no such luck. Seriously, ever since they told Kakashi and Yamato, he was cursing more than he had done in his previous life and up till the exam, combined. It was strange, Naruto thought. It was strange how tightly the armor fit, seemingly restricting his movement, yet still allowing him to move, just as well as before. Tonight was dark, the crescent moon hiding behind the clouds. Still, for a moment, sometimes, he would catch the silvery celestial body and it would bring up memories. Memories of his childhood, when they trained with Indra and their father so fondly compared him to the sun and the moon. Are you ready? Kakashi asked in a quiet tone, glancing at him and Sasuke. Naruto nodded and then, in a burst of speed, they were gone from the rooftop. They sped off the village, towards the empty, abandoned outskirts. Once they reached just the border of it, Naruto could sense the other Anbu teams approaching and he pointedly looked in the direction and nodding towards them. It seemed the three teams were suitably impressed with him, if the surprise and shock that sparked among the calmness was anything to go by. What sort of little monsters do you have for students, senpai? A beer-masked man asked, looking at Kakashi. Kakashi chuckled, looking at the operative and then at him. The sort of monsters, who can level entire villages, without Biju involvement. Naruto snorted softly. Not yet, but if I Sajukai Koten, I'm sure at least half the village would be covered, which would then give us chance to try and destroy the rest. Ni-sama could always burn down the rest of the place with Shiroi Hono, he grinned foxily. Ototo. Sasuke hissed, softly, his Sharingan flashing disapprovingly. Let's not discuss the destruction of the village, How about we deal with this? I'd gladly sleep tonight, if possible. Well said, Uchiha-san, a bird-masked Anbu murmured. You know the plan. Get in, K anyone whose resistance is danger to your lives and then we can start collecting the doents. Don't K those, who have been safely restrained. Hi, came the group's answer, as they moved forward. As they descended into the underground facility, Naruto's senses heightened. Channeling a bit of Kurama's chakra helped his eyes adjust to the darkness, too. They were barely inside, when he sensed three people approaching. The three cloaked operatives dropped from the ceiling, radiating K intent. Leave now, intruders. Naruto's lips curled upwards. Sorry, not gonna happen, he said. He jumped at the men, chakra chains materializing from his back with soft rattle, wrapping around two of the ANBU, while Sasuke intercepted the third one. For a while, the operatives tried struggling the golden bonds, but as Naruto anchored the chains to the wall, their movements slowed. Satisfied, he formed even more of the chains, to wrap the two completely, not even giving him an inch to move. Once he was done, he turned to Sasuke, just in time to see the Uchiha drive his lightning-enhanced blade trough the operative's heart. Once the individual dropped down, Sasuke sighed. Wish I had your chains. But, maybe I'll try a baby version of Tsukuyomi. That should do well to knock him out, he said thoughtfully. Naruto shrugged. Sure. The deeper they went, the more operatives they found and soon enough, they caught glimpse of Kakashi and Yamato as well, along with the three other Anbu squads Tsunade had assigned. It took them the better part of the night, but in the end, the mission was successful. Most root members were alive and bound, some around Sasuke and Naruto's age, but others even younger. A dozen or so of them but compared to how many have been bound, the number was rather small. By the time they collected the bound people, as well as the it was almost dawn. With the operatives no longer a danger, they could start investigating. Jiraiya called in some members of the to take the people away. Naruto just barely got his breath back after the fight. The last two he'd faced had been skilled and rather determined to K him, so he had to use Mokuton to surprise them. When Yamato waved him over. Sasuke, Naruto. Hearing the call, the blonde shuffled to his teacher and looked at a stack of papers on the desk. Now, we'll have a lot of things to look through. I'll show you what to look for and then, we'll later go over how to write a proper mission report. Nodding in understanding, they set out to work. Naruto froze, when he saw the old folder, on the very bottom of the pile he'd been going through. The writing on it, for some reason, turned his into a zoo, elimination, harvest. Cautiously, Naruto pulled out the thick folder and flipped it open to see the doents inside. All of them had decades-old dates. Dates, which corresponded with his history knowledge and his mother's brief mentions of the catastrophe. The days of the Second Shinobi War, specifically the destruction of Azushiogakur. And the files were full of revolting information. How Danzo sabotaged the Konoha troops sent to aid Izu. How he boosted Kumo, Kiri, Iwa troops with supplies and information to help the village's fall. It also mentioned that several of Danzo's men had been sent to collect the B of D Uzumaki to study them, and how some of the dying had been nursed back to health, so that Danzo could keep them here and harvest their abilities. Only for each and every attempt to fail and the subject to die in pain, either shortly after or months of suffering later. Attempted to awaken and harvest Rinnegan, the legendary eyes of the Sannin, but none seemed successful yet. Used some Uchiha B, the samples stolen from the hospital, but each child and young adult D without achieving the eyes. Naruto S. The folder closed and backed away, battling his nausea. Sick D. You did well in K him, Ni-sama. He eliminated the Uzumaki, now the Uchiha, would the Hyuga have been the next, once their usefulness was over? I don't know, Kurama answered. But, in light of this all, I may have been gentle with him and he would have deserved something much, much worse. Meanwhile, a few shelves away, Sasuke was reading a different mission folder. One, which contained information about the Kaguya clan of Kirigakure. None of the Kaguya seemed to be in possession of the clan's Kekkei Genkai, as the clan members themselves fear it and K all children capable of utilizing the ability. We had retrieved Afu B and the B had since been studied, but to no avail. The children we tried injecting with Kaguya B to awaken the ability had all D of Abondisis. Orochimaru himself is looking for possible solutions. Perhaps someone, who has the strong body and life force of Senju and Uzumaki, would be able to combat the Disis and awaken. Sasuke stopped reading, repulsed. To think a clan would turn on themselves in such a way. Was that, which bothered him so much? Or was it Danzo's meddling? Taking a deep breath to control his emotions, he neatly stacked the papers and did his best to work precisely and fast. However, he didn't have his Sharingan active, just for once. All this disgusting information would burn itself into his mind anyway, no need to make sure it won't ever dull. He knew enough about the man, to form his opinion, a sick megalomaniac, who had D way too mercifully. Kurama shouldn't have been so gentle. He briefly wondered what Naruto had found, but wait. Perhaps he didn't want to know any more of the shady underground work of this worm. He worked in the dark, underground. Sasuke mused disdainfully. Not even a shinobi, but a worm. A worm of the worst kind. As he categorized the stacks of papers, for the first time in his life, he wished he had some sort of alcohol. Perhaps he could steal a bottle of Tsunade sake, when they went to report. Surely, she wouldn't not a one bottle missing. Naruto stood in front of his father, his gaze unwavering. Minato's face was one of shock. You want what? His father asked. Naruto sighed. You split the fox in half. Ikno, you were worried I wouldn't be able to withstand all that power. You couldn't know who I had once been, so it's okay to be worried. But now, I need it. I need that chakra back, Oto-san. Once I've worked with the Biju. They were the Yarami siblings. While I worked with them before, it would certainly be easier to have the whole of the fox. Now that I'm older and my body has grown used to the power presence, it won't be a problem. Having all of him sealed in me. His father frowned. I wouldn't want you to be even more of a target, Musuko. At least like this, that masked man can't complete his plan. Not without having all of the fox. And we can't hope to defeat him without the Biju, either. Sasuke spoke up from next to the tree, where he sat in Kekafusa. Besides, the man could summon Utrof Edo Tensei, like the snake face. He would extract the half of the Kyuubi you have without question and we would be at a setback. We're working on saving the world, Oto-san. Naruto said again, this time more firmly. And we need all of our siblings' help for that, their full power help. His father nodded at last. Very well, Musuko. I trust you. Naruto smiled and hugged Minato. His father hugged him back, just as firmly. And, reincarnation or not, you're always going to be our little ball of sunshine. Mine and your mother's too. Naruto chuckled. I wouldn't want that to change. He pulled away, molding his chakra. Now, if you help with this, the transfer would be easier. We need Atwan Shiki for this to work. You mean two seals of the same kind? His father asked. Naruto shook his head. No, two similar seals, but not identical. The base theory of such a seal is that the content of the seal, In this case your half of Kurama will be considered the difference and, to maintain balance, my half of the seal will absorb chakra from you, trough the link. He answered, crouching down to draw a simple chart into the dirt. This will create the balance, but at the end of the process, you won't be a Jinchuriki. And it's practical, since it can be applied over an already existing seal and the two seals, which are being connected can be different, so it is much faster, if we break your seal to extract Kurama and then reseal his other half into me. And since we aren't modifying the existing seal, merely use it as a sort of transportation method, like how Harashan works, taking you from one spot to another, it won't mess up my chakra control, because the fox will be able to regulate how much chakra I can access at a time and gradually make my body get used to the bigger amount without me having to start chakra control from scratch. You follow? His family members leaned over his shoulder, to look at the small drawing he'd made, complete with a few seal symbols and Akibi Kurama for better understanding. This, Hashirama murmured, his eyes widening, is genius, Tobarama said, and Naruto scratched his cheek with a small shrug of his shoulders. It's not that difficult actually. I based this seal on Ninshu, he murmured shyly, rather, on its theory how it was meant to connect, trough chakra. Naruto jolted out of his memories at hearing his name. It was Sasuke. Ni-sama. Sasuke made a gesture. Kakashi agreed to a fight between us and Guy's team. Well, promised to ask that is, as we have the right to turn it down. He's really just our captain on missions now. Naruto hummed. Yeah, what about it? We could beat some sense into Neji. I won't stand for one of our kin, no matter how distant the connection is, acting like that. The blonde hummed, as he stood up. Well said. Being the lonely genius, perhaps you can even reach out to him. Sasuke snorted. You're the one who's proficient in talk no jutsu, not me, he murmured. Naruto snorted and gave him a look. Sasuke's eyes morphed into the Sharingan, as he took his fighting stance, Neji standing opposite him. Lee had wanted to fight him, but Sasuke made his intentions of matching Sharingan against Byakugan very clear. But, Lee would have fun with Naruto too, Sasuke was sure of that. His brother's speed and heavy hits were close to the style of taijutsu Lee and Guy were fond of. So, switching pairs also ensured he won't have broken bones. Unlike Naruto, he couldn't heal himself, nor did he have one of their Biju siblings sealed in his gut. Remember to fight fairly, Kakashi called sternly. Sasuke nodded towards his teacher and turned his gaze back to Neji. The older zone dojutsu was also active. Hajime. Sasuke took a deep breath and let Neji make the starting strike. Just remember how Mitra fought, he told himself, calmly analyzing the situation as he deflected a few of the Hyuga's strikes. There are 365 Tenketsu and he can see their precise location. The moment I break his hit sequence, I have the upper hand, he thought. Mitra's pale eyes narrowed on him, her Byakugan already ablaze, as she took her stance. Her black hair was secured in a tight braid, brushing her mid-back. Hers was the exact stance his uncle used. But then again, it would make sense, as she had her father's eyes. The Byakugan's abilities of near 360-degree X-ray vision was something to be wary of. Her face was emotionless, her pale eyes like empty pearls. Shinju and Ashura had called him emotionally stunted. No, he was just fine emotionally, thank you. He just didn't carry said emotions on his sleeve, like his little brother. Mitra, on the other hand, was emotionally problematic. How their uncle hadn't noticed it, he would never understand. Ready, Indra? She asked, tone flat. He smirked at her. Come, catch me, cousin. She scoffed and leapt forwards, strikes fast and precise, but it was useless. She was talented, but he wasn't the prodigy of Ninshu for nothing. Besides, he already knew how his uncle fought. He deflected several of her strikes and even the few that were too fast for his hands to catch, hit him prepared. It was just a question of timing and chakra control. Mitra wasn't the only one with near-perfect control in the family. And unlike her, he wasn't limited to close range. He caught her wrist, making her eyes widen and kicked her in the abdomen, hard. Then, he ran off a set of seals, that had long since become his favorite. He caught Neji's open palm strike in the last minute, just inches away from its target, shocking the Hyuga. How? He whispered. Sasuke grinned. You're good, but I developed my fighting style around a more skilled Byakugan user. he answered matter-of-factly in allo tone, so the rest of Team 3 would not hear. He kicked the Chunin in the abdomen and Neji went flying back a few feet. Sasuke stopped where he was, easing his stance. Neji stood slowly, glaring heatedly, and had Sasuke been anyone else, he would have cowered. What did you just? He gasped out. Did you call that shame of a high-res we have, a better fighter, than I am? He asked, tone heated and dangerous. Sasuke snorted mentally. No, it was talking about Mitra, he thought seriously, barely resisting the urge to roll his eyes. Shame of a high-res. He arched an eyebrow. She has a good heart, which few can say about themselves, in this misguided world. Kindness is not weakness, I've learned that myself, he said, darting closer. She's a failure, Neji hissed, as he moved again. Sasuke deflected his strikes again, holding back a wince now and then, as a few hit. He was sure he was going to have bruises after this, as well as some internal but then again, he could be Naruto's practice for his medical training. She's your family, Sasuke pressed, as he increased his speed ever so slightly, to make it harder for Neji to reach him. The more they dragged this out, the likelier it was he could drive it off the Hyuga's tough skull, that no matter what were the circumstances, family was family, for few crimes were truly unforgivable. And what do you know of that, Uchiha? Neji spat back. Your clan are gone. The one you call your family loves you more than my kin ever cared for me. No, that was not true. Mitra had always been prideful, maybe even more than him, but she loved her own. She had loved her sister dearly and her children even more. He could no longer recall the names of his nieces and nephews, but he still remembered how Ashura told him that the four of them could be family again, that he would have a loving wife and children and curious nieces and nephews all around him. I doubt your kin would discard you so carelessly, he said. Trust me, I know how much a clan care for their own. He knew how much Mitra had loved her husband and children. She'd never been the prankster kind, like Ashura, but there was a subdued kindness to her. She was a lot like her father. Her sister, Sarvastra, had been more like their mother, and a bit like Ashura, in terms of leering and pranks, in nature. You know nothing. Your clan never treated you like a caged animal. I'm a servant to my own uncle. Sasuke growled, his Sharingan morphing into its higher state, making Neji's eyes widen. He kicked the older hard, with a chakra-infused blow, and as the older sprawled on the ground, he landed next to him, kneeling on Neji's chest, careful to keep his own weight. I know of everything, he countered, as his Sharingan took hold, transferring just enough knowledge for Neji to grasp he wasn't what he looked like and that he had the means and the power to help. Neji's breath hitched, as the genjutsu ended and he found himself staring up into dark brown, no, pitch black eyes. Indra. Sasuke. This. Sasuke wasn't all he seemed. He was as much Sasuke, as much Indra. Son of the Sannin, progenitor of the Uchiha. Brother to Ashura, who was progenitor of Senju and Uzumaki. Brother of the 9 Biju. Nephew of Otsutsuki Hamura, cousin to Sarvastra and Mitra, progenitors of Kaguya and Hyuga respectively. You can't be, he whispered in shock. I'm Indra, he said firmly, tone low. And I know mine own cousins. Mitra would never abide by the suffering of her own. As Neji stopped struggling, he slowly loosened his hold. I don't know your story, but you can share. I have a fair share of my own demons. Ashura, Naruto and I, we can help. If you let us. You can't. Neji whispered. A caged bird is only free in death. Sasuke shook his head. A caged bird adapts and grows strong from capture. Learns to open the locks of its cage with a beak. But, even if you cannot do it, let us do it. The time, when we shared yours and mine, is long gone. But I have not forgotten. We're family. Neji bit his lips. He wanted to believe, he so desperately wanted to believe, that he could be free again, but the clan would never let it. Even if Sasuke Indra was indeed who he claimed to be, even then, the clan would deny them the freedom. They would never let you. Sasuke stood slowly, dragging him up as well. Neji ignored the dust that was now covering him and he was too shocked to be upset about losing. Heck, considering wo Sasuke was, he was probably lucky to be alive. Between myself and Ototo, they won't have Akois. We can be rather persuasive, Sasuke said, as his Sharingan spun lazily, nodding towards Naruto. But first, you have a Kusan to apologize to. Time to make it up to her and present ornighted front. Neji thought for a moment, before nodding. Best not piss off the Sharingan user. He liked his head on his shoulders, thank you very much. As they left Kakashi and Guy behind, excusing themselves with a surprisingly plausible lie, who knew Naruto was so good at deception, Neji let his thoughts wander. He recalled the first days of meeting the odd pair, Uchiha and Senju, the unlikeliest duo, considering the clan's histories. Naruto's and Sasuke's presence had, from the first day of their meeting, felt overwhelming. It wasn't the controlled, subdued power of an experienced shinobi, that much Neji understood. Their power felt nothing like Guy's, his uncle's or Kakashi-san's. No, it had always felt something more, something he felt clearly, despite not being a sensor type. It was a feeling, which offered comfort and warned him of danger at the same time. He'd never understood how ones younger than him could have such overwhelming presence. He admitted, he'd tried riling up Naruto, hoping he would lose focus, but it hadn't worked. Back then, he didn't understand why, now he knew. He stopped on the edge of the training ground, where Team 8 were having their training. Naruto and Sasuke had come with him, for which he was grateful. If not for the calming presence of the blonde Senju Uzumaki, Otsutsuki, he would have long abandoned the idea. Go, Naruto said with an encouraging smile. Just say sorry. Explain why things had been hard for you. She's your family. She'll understand. She's barely spoken to me since. Neji frowned, looking away. You carry a different name now, as do we. Sasuke said, pointing at Naruto and then himself. But there is something that still remains, from the days of Ninshu. The family. Otsutsuki valued, still value family above all. That is as much our strength, as it is our weakness, no matter which of the 5 offshoot clans you mention. Don't let it be your weakness. Don't follow my path, I and mine paid a price for it. Make family your strength. Neji nodded at the two gratefully and stalked towards the training Team 8. They were having a taijutsu spar, and as he got closer, Neji noticed the slight mistakes in his cousin's stance. Mistakes that messed up her balance and gave her Inuzaka teammate a chance to knock her off balance, sending her flying. Neji's eyes widened, as he noticed the angle she would crash. He pushed chakra into his feet to enhance his speed and jumped, just barely catching Hinata and landing with Arrel. He grunted a bit at the dull pain, but it was nothing compared to what Hinata would have felt, had he let her fall. He stopped the roll and slowly sat up. Hinata's eyes were wide with shock. She looked a bit winded. En Neji ni es-san. Neji took a deep breath, stealing a glance at the brothers lingering on the other edge of the clearing. Both nodded to him and he looked back at his cousin. Could we speak for a moment, Hinata-sama? The brothers let the two Hyuga have their moment. It was Neji, who needed to come to terms with his life, and when that happened, when the cousins stood united, maybe then things would be better. After about a good hour, Neji and Hinata both approached, the shy heiress having a smile on her face. Arigato, ne Naruto-kun, s Sasuke-kun, for bringing en Neji ni back. I mean that. We know what you mean, Hinata. Naruto said in a calm manner, waving her off. Now that you two made up, would you agree to a match? The two of you, against us. Hinata's eyes went wide. What? But IIC could never hope to beat you, ma maybe en Neji. Neji snorted a bit, shaking his head. Not in this lifetime. You're forgetting Naruto-san beat me during the exams and Sasuke-san just turned my own moves against me, before we came here. Sasuke hummed. I may have done so, but you left me with a few painful bruises, aching chakra coils and maybe a bit of internal B. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Hefat. Sit down. Sasuke shook his head. It's nothing life-threatening, Ototo, otherwise. Sit down, Ni-sama, he said firmly, his eyes narrowing. And stay still. Sasuke sighed and did, as the blonde ordered, drawing soft chuckles from the two Hyuga. As Naruto's hands began to glow green, Sasuke gestured for the cousins to sit. When both were seated, his eyes shifted between them. How about we train together? You two are pretty good. What? Neji asked, eyes wide. But why would you? Because that's what friends do, Sasuke said, placing extra emphasis on the friends word. Neji's eyes widened even more, as he caught the hidden message. Hinata, meanwhile, was trying not to faint at the thought of the infamous duo wanting to be around her. She'd always admired their strength, Naruto the most. Unlike the rest of their classmates, she knew that the village hadn't always been nice to him, but despite everything, he had kept smiling and remained positive. However, she'd noticed things improving, after he was revealed as someone related to 3, now 4 of the village's Hokage. So, Naruto asked, quirking an eyebrow. What do you say? The cousins shared a look, thinking for a moment. All right, they said at the same time. Naruto grinned, like the sun. Wonderful. We can find time that doesn't interfere with your training or family life. We can adjust our schedules according to necessity. Too tired, but please Tokubutsu Jonin sped towards the Hokage Tower, befitting their rank. After Naruto had healed Sasuke and also patched up the one big W on Neji, caused by Sasuke's kick, the 4 had gone out to eat. Their bonding time was short, when Namiyashi Rado, a man, whom Naruto knew had been one of his father's guards, told them that Tsunade had summoned them for something. However, Rado hadn't specified why, so they were a bit worried, hence their breakneck speed. Luckily, Tsunade left the window open, unlike the Sannin at one time, so they could jump into the office, without having to ruin anything. They turned to Tsunade with a dip of their heads. Hokage-sama. Naruto, Sasuke, she greeted, a pleased expression on her face. I hope my summon hadn't interrupted anything important. The boys shared a look. The village comes first, Sasuke said in a measured tone, unwilling to admit that he may have enjoyed his time with the Hyugas. Tsunade hummed. I'm glad you think so, however, I really hope I didn't disturb anything, as this summon has less to do with the village and more with your future. Our future, Naruto echoed, a bit confused. They had a particular picture of their future, which involved getting strong enough to stop a pair of mad Uchihas, and also the grandmother, if push came to shove, and not dying in the process. We hope to train you. Jiraiya suddenly spoke, revealing himself. Naruto twitched, a bit annoyed that in his hurry, he had forgotten to beware, as it was demanded of every shinobi. There seemed to be some trouble brewing in the form of a group who want the biju. And we want you to be able to protect yourselves and each other, considering you're almost never separate. The 2 shared a look. Is that mad freak already moving? It's sooner than you said he might. Kurama growled into their minds. If he is, Sasuke said, eyes narrowing a bit, that would mean that we will have to kick up our training by a notch. Or by several notches. Screw it all. Naruto cursed, before looking back at the 2 Sannin. And what does this mean for us? Tsunade sighed. We'll help you to train. In fact, we were thinking about a sort of shared apprenticeship. Well, something like it. Jiraiya would help you with taijutsu, fuinjutsu and perhaps, if either of you are interested, senjutsu. Naruto, I heard that you would pursue medicine, so I will teach that to you, along with the senju taijutsu as well, as my personal style. Sasuke, while you may never be a medic, I will help with your chakra control as well. Kakashi will help with your nin and genjutsu skills, and Naruto, if you still need assistance, Yamato will help with Mokuton. Between all of this, we would go to the field, the 3 of us, to help you with experience, tracking and information gathering. If you perform well, we might consider a field promotion in the future, instead of you taking the Jonin exam. Jiraiya injected. They shared a look. It sounded fine, and effective. Plus, they would never truly be separate, save for perhaps a few days, which was also a bonus. Sticking together was essential. They couldn't let Zetsu create a wedge between them. Never again. So, Jiraiya asked, crossing his arms. Do you 2 accept? The boys smirked, their voices coming in perfect sync. When do we start? They were sure that the days would be busy from now on, but there was no victory without sweat and B. And if all this work would eventually stop the Kyuubi's reformation, well, all the better. That was why they'd been training so hard all this time. The Sannin offering to help was just an added bonus. Maybe, just maybe, humanity won't be turned into mindless under their crazy goddess of a grandmother. Tsunade handed 3 scrolls to Sasuke. Here, considering that Naruto has been dabbling with medicine, you might know these chakra control exercises, but still. Memorize them and practice them for the next 5 days. When the time limit is up, you come and show me the progress. Depending on said progress, we will consider how to move forward. And careful with chakra exhaustion. Sasuke took the scrolls and nodded. Understood, Hokage-sama. Tsunde's brown gaze bore into his black for a moment. Sensei, from now on for both of you, she corrected. Is the task clear? Sasuke tilted his head to the side in surprise, but hummed. Clear as crystal, Tsunade-sensei. Satisfied, the woman handed a stack of books to Naruto. I know you're going to use Kage Bunshin anyway, so no complaining, she said, even before Naruto could open his mouth to speak. Read all of these at your own pace, from cover to back. I'm going to be quizzing you on the topics. These things are essential, if you want to be a medic. In the meanwhile, I suggest more chakra control for you as well. You can't have your chakra acting out of control, as it may be dangerous for your future patients, and your Jinchuriki status is no excuse. Naruto nodded, his violet eyes glinting with steel. Understood, Tsunade-sensei. Tsunade smiled. Oh, and in between the theory and chakra control, Kakashi will be supervising your physical training. You follow his instructions, as you did before, regardless of your new rank, she stated calmly. All to both boys understood that it was a politely wrapped order. Of course. Kakashi raised an eyebrow at Sasuke. This was supposed to be their genjutsu session. Well, it was. But he was supposed to teach Sasuke, not the other way around. What do you mean? He asked the Uchiha. Sasuke sighed. I mean, that you are not an Uchiha. Despite your moniker, no one ever taught you how to properly use the Sharingan. Now, usually a would not do this, as you are not kin by B, he shrugged, but you have the Sharingan and the Uchiha are almost gone. Now, I presume you know the basic abilities of the Sharingan, naturally. Kakashi nodded. Yes, but I can only use it for a short time. My body wasn't built to sustain the eye. Sasuke hummed. Naturally. Now, Uchiha don't have the unearthly stamina of Senju or Uzumaki, but we did have stronger B. Actually, all Otsutsuki descendants are on the sturdier side, so to say. Now, your body wasn't built to sustain it, yes. But, I have a few tricks, he smirked. Tricks? Sasuke shrugged. I wasn't always capable of leveling mountains in the past, sensei. I had been akiled, too. I learned a trick or two, how to use my chakra to fight the chakra depletion, that came with the Sharingan. As I grew older, it was such a mana drain, that I just simply didn't bother deactivating it anymore. So, I'll show you a few tricks and you teach Moraikiri. Kakashi's eye narrowed. Sasuke. Sasuke rolled his eyes. I'm being completely fair and ethical here. I'm asking you to teach it, not asking for permission to use it. A didn't copy. The silver-haired man nodded with a small sigh. Fair enough. But we start with Chidori, as that's the first step. Sasuke grinned. So, about the chakra. You have Raiten like Ido, so. Kakashi pouted under his mask. Uchiha progenitor and Sage's son or not, this is embarrassing. So embarrassing. I'm being lectured by my own student. Yamato, save me. Jiraiya hummed, as he looked at the precise writing of the blonde. Perfect, he nodded, satisfied. Naruto sighed a bit, letting the brush drop back into the small pot of ink. Who knew Jiraiya was so demanding and such a perfectionist, when he was actually serious about training? Of course, Naruto had his own standard, but Jiraiya was even worse. Seriously, the Gama Sannin could go and shake hands with his brother, if it came to perfectionism. Did perhaps Jiraiya had some great-great-great-grandsomeone in his family, who had been an Uchiha? Thank the Shinju, the blonde muttered, his hand cramped. He shifted and looked at the man. Jiraiya raised an eyebrow at his words, but he didn't say anything. Now, know that you have water and earth for affinity. Actually, Naruto in calmly, it's water, wind and earth. And Sasuke has lighting, fire and earth. For me water and earth are equal, wind is a bit weaker. Sasuke's fire and lightning are equal, coupled with a bit weaker earth. But we are both working with all 5 elements. Or at least, trying to. The spy master blinked and then nodded. Well, okay. I can teach you about Suten, alter if the account here was correct, you're capable of using Suten, like Tobirama-sama. Naruto shook his head. Not yet. I will need the perfect control of a medic for that, due to my larger reserves, so further honing the ability of using moisture as a source, has to wait a bit, I think. Jiraiya sighed. Fine. But I can help you with some water jutsu. And if you really want to tamper with all 5 elements, we can start on the basic exercises for lightning and fire, too. Naruto stood along with the man and nodded. Now that he was calmer and more composed, it was actually nice being around him. And it seemed that his words about family had hit right home with the Sannin, which was also a bonus. Sounds nice. He put his hand in a cross sign, creating 10 shadow clones. He sent 5 to do chakra control, while he waved the 5 over to Jiraiya. You can explain to the clones. Please. I'd go trough the usual warm-up before Aspar, because I have a feeling you want to see what I can do. The man blinked owlishly. Well, yeah, alright. It would work too, I suppose, he muttered, shocked. What was up with those two? Both Naruto and Sasuke trained so seriously, he'd never seen anyone so driven and focused in times of peace. Those who had grown up surrounded by war, it was one thing. But these two lived in a time of peace and they were preparing for war. Alright, he knew better than most among the higher-ups how dangerous Akatsuki could prove in the future, but that didn't mean an outright war coming. Did it? Team 13, you have a ab-rank mission. Tsunade said, looking at the two young men. Kakashi and Yamato stood calmly behind the Tokujo. And it is? The copy Nin asked calmly. Tsunade handed them a folder, which Sasuke took. Eliminate the S-traders spotted near the Land of Sound. Free their victims and escort them home. The Hokage noticed how sharply her part-time students' gazes flashed. The eyes of men who didn't tolerate injustice. Consider it done. And she did just that, considered the mission done the moment they left the office. Now, back to paperwork. Kami-sama knows it piles up even more, when I leave to help those two train. She glared at her distant cousin's portrait. How the hell had you had any time for Kushina, Minato? What was your secret to finishing all that paperwork so fast? Somehow I doubt it has anything to do with the Harashin, or Tobirama Oji-san would have never spent a moment in this damnable office. Naruto groaned, falling into his bed, like a log. Tsunade Oba-san was a S driver. And her punches hurt like hell, Hashirama's granddaughter, without a doubt. Was this how Sasuke felt, when he used chakra enhanced strength in their spars? If so, he promised to use them less, or at least, pull some of the punches. If not for Kurama's healing abilities, he wouldn't have even stood up from the spot on the training ground, where he'd fallen. You're a lifesaver, Ni-sama, he said trough their link. The fox cackled evilly. And your day's not done yet. You promised to meet the two Hyuga today. Shinju damn it, he muttered. After a moment, he sat up with a sigh. Ni-sama, are you alive? He drawled. Maybe. His brother answered, his voice quiet. Who knew Kakashi could bet that fast? He surely picked up something from your father. Or he uses lightning to enhance his speed. And he's getting way too creative with genjutsu. Ishold have never shown him that chakra trick, he muttered. Naruto hummed. Well, come on. We promised training to Hinata and Neji and I keep my promises. Why's? Sasuke asked dramatically, as he wretched himself from the comforts of the couch. Naruto chuckled at that and after activating the security seals, they headed towards Training Ground 2, the spot they'd agreed to meet at. When they arrived, Neji and Hinata were already there, conversing quietly. The sight caused both of them to smile a bit. Ever since that beatdown Neji had gotten a week ago, he was actually making an effort to bond with Hinata. Hinata, being the kind soul she was, had forgiven him fast and was just glad to have him back to his old, kinder self. Gamen, Naruto called sheepishly, as they approached. We didn't mean to be late. It's just, Tsunade-sensei and Kashi-sensei can be S-drivers, when they want to be. It's a challenge sometimes, keeping up with them. Hokage-sama is training YU. Hinata asked, her eyes wide. Naruto hummed. She's helping me learn medical ninjutsu and she thought it high time for me to learn the proper senju taijutsu, so, yes. Oh, I see. So, Sasuke spoke, we thought about helping you with elemental manipulating. Clues to your affinities. Fire, Neji stated. Sasuke smirked. You're coming with me, then. I'm sure we can work out a few tricks that you can incorporate into your gentle fist as well. If you have chakra manipulation done, the sky is the limit. The two left and Naruto was left on his own, with Hinata. Do you know your affinity, Hinata? He asked. She shook her head. No Naruto-kun. I don't know it why yet, she said softly, poking her fingers together. Naruto took a deep breath. Okay, that's how far my patience runs. No cousin of mine will be a meek civilian. Hinata, he called, as he sat down. She looked up at him. Hi, do you want to be a kunoichi? A kunoichi, who can stand her ground and in the future, a clan head, whom her kin loves and respects? He asked seriously. Her eyes widened a bit at the questions, but she nodded without much hesitation. Yes, I've long dreamt of uniting my clan. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Unite. She shook her head. They're all my family and a hate we're so divided. We should be equals, because you can't create alien, who you love more. Naruto smiled brightly. Mitra's words all right. Exactly, he told her with an admirable dream. Her eyes went wide at that. That's why you have to be strong. Not only as a kunoichi, but as a person. Don't second guess yourself, because if you second guess yourself, so will others, and that may undermine your credibility, both as a shinobi and as a leader. You understand? She nodded. Hi. The blonde smiled and took a piece of paper from his pocket. Push your chakra into this and we'll see what's your affinity. She took it from him and pushed her chakra into it, causing the paper to crumble. Earth. Typically Hyuga, he nodded. So the thing you have to know about Earth as an element, it's firm and stable. A defensive element, and sometimes, who link emotions to the 5 base elements, say that it's for resolve. Because you decide something and no matter what, you stand by it and go trough with it. She nodded. I see. Naruto smiled. So, to get a better grasp, you'll have to understand your own emotions first. Think of your dream and why you want it to come true. Then, grab for it. Decide if you want it or not. If yes, then hold on to it and no matter what, don't let go. Fire is an offensive element, which reflects strong emotions. In fact, your emotions change how your chakra reacts, so it also affects your jutsu. Sasuke said, so, my advice is, never ever think of negativity, when working with fire or your own jutsu may backfire. Neji nodded. I see. Best is to keep a clear mind, but there are times when you can't do that, so focus instead on the positive side of your objective. Protecting the people who matter, or making it home, because there's someone who's waiting and they would be devastated if you d. Sasuke hummed and did a few rapid signs. Kaiten, Moaru Hari. Fire release, burning needs. Flames formed in his hands, that sneaked up onto his fingers, creating tiny needles on each end. Neji's eyes widened. This is similar to how we use Juken. Sasuke nodded. Yeah, I created this one based on Mitra's fighting style. Now, since you have even better control of your chakra than Ido, you may limit the flames, but still make your chakra searing hot, which would be extra damage to your enemy, as the fire chakra would literally burn his coils. But, this is crippling, so use it in life on the line situations. Understood? The Hyuga nodded, his face serious. Sasuke hummed. The seals for the jutsu are a tiger, bird, dog, tiger. You won't have Akans to use the seals every time before you may be engaged, so I want you to master this. Make the jutsu Asakon nature, and if that works, you can modify it to your needs and liking. Neji blinked at him. Modify it, but you just said you created it. Sasuke nodded. Yes, and I'm giving you permission to use it. Alter, don't be surprised if next time we spar, I'm using this against you or Hinata. I'll keep that in mind. Sasuke, Indra. He asked with a raised eyebrow. The Uchiha waved him off. Sasuke wouldn't want to raise suspicion, right? Besides, there's D from long ago, who knows that name? He would figure out who we are, and that's dangerous, he said quietly. No human lives that long. Neji pointed out with disbelief. Even you just remember. It's not the same. Sasuke sighed. The one I'm talking about is not exactly human, so yes, it lives that long. Not human. Then what else could it possibly be? Sasuke snorted in amusement. You sound way too shocked. Our grandmother was not of this world, she was, what you would call an alien, I suppose. A foreigner to the world of humans. While our grandfather was human, our father and uncle retained none of the typical human traits. Myself, Ashura, and our cousins were the first Otsutsuki to look entirely human. Neji groaned. Holy mother of chakra. Hey, that's my grandmother you're badmouthing, Hyuga, he warned with a sharp look. And while her love for humanity disappeared over the years, it's thanks to her and our father that this world knows what chakra. So no badmouthing her. My apologies. Sasuke nodded, looking at Neji's hands. So, let me see that jutsu. And if you get that done, I'll show you a trick to keep your chakra in balance. Naruto smiled as Hinata succeeded with the exercise. Well done, Hinata. Now, come on, let's spar. Hinata smiled and stood up. She took her stance and Naruto did the same. And remember, now, I'm not a fellow Konoha shinobi. I'm not someone you know. I'm enemy. I'm here to harm your sister and Neji. Fight as if their lives depended on it. Don't pull your strikes. She nodded, her eyes stealing over. Hi. She still seemed a bit unsure, but his words seemed to be having an effect, so that was good. Then, without a warning, he punched the ground, breaking it up and forcing her to leap away. Using the cover of the dust, he shunshined next to her, but it seemed, the moment his punch had connected, she'd activated her Byakugan, so she was waiting prepared. He attacked, but she evaded swiftly, using her smaller body to duck under his attack, before trying to deliver her own strikes. Naruto blinked at Jiraiya, scandalized even at the very idea. You want me Tau Hat? The Sannin sighed. Come on Naruto. You've kept putting this off, ever since we started training. You have to learn it sometime. Naruto shook his head. If he used Kurama's chakra, it would just give Madara and his subordinates seconds to steal his oldest brother's power easier. His new seal was tighter than the one his father had used, yet it still allowed Kurama to sense the outside world. Kurama was safe in there and that was all that mattered. He shook his head. I will not use the fox's chakra, he stated calmly. Jiraiya groaned. Naruto, please. You have to understand that we have no ways of combating Jinchuriki. Only someone with a biju of their own can do that. Kumo and Iwa trained their Jinchuriki as the village's most dangerous, last resort weapons. Kiri had done something similar before the Bee Wars created the Bee Mess, which the village is at the moment. Naruto frowned. My Mokuton is powerful enough to restrain them. No need to fight them. I will not fight my own siblings, Sannin. No matter what you say, I'm still Anatsusuki at heart and family comes first. Family and peace. Your suggestion indicates that you want me as a trump card, too. Well, the village wants me as such, that is, he thought. Jiraiya frowned. Look kid, I get it. You'll be even more than the Shodai and Minato were, combined, which is a feat. You understand that too, that you freaking see that fox in you as a living. He's a living creature with feelings of his own. Naruto see in sharply. Jiraiya grunted. Okay, yes, but that feeling creature will be discorporated if you die. Or if you're captured by Akatsuki, something worse may happen. Use the power you have, because you know what for do you need it. To protect that you believe right. Akatsuki will use that power to destroy. So, which one? Naruto scowled. The pervert is correct for once, Ashura-kun. Kurama said. You've used my chakra before. I know that I can trust you, as my brother. Aratha Havea borrowing some of my chakra, or Indra, if needed than anyone else. You understand now, that what you two are doing is as much for the safety of the world Oto-sama loved so much, as it is for our safety. I didn't need protecting, little one. I'm strong enough to do it for myself. But the Uchihas are powerful enough to control you. You can't resist the Sharingan forever and you know it. Naruto pointed out matter-of-factly. Alone. No. Together. If we work together, yes. This seal you made protects me and if continued survival means using my chakra, it's alright. Take what you need. We're siblings. We help each other. And I want to help protect this world too. The humans hadn't been nice to me, after you were gone, but Oto-sama loved this world. And we ought to honor his wishes. Yes, we ought to, he agreed softly. He huffed and nodded to the Sannin, his hand rising into a snake seal. Then he crouched down and his hand on the ground. Mokten, Kemono no Jinja. Wood release, Shrine of the Beast. A circular platform with 6 wooden poles rose from the ground, the poles having carvings of what seemed to be unfinished seals all around. Jiraiya blinked. What's this for? Naruto shrugged and walked over, sitting in the middle of his new wooden creation. Just to be safe. I wouldn't want to lose my head. He sighed and closed his eyes. After a moment, he cracked his right eye open to peer at the seal master. Get a containment seal ready, for the worst of cases. Just to be safe. I'm not sure how much my body can take, before shutting down. The man peered at him with narrowed eyes, suspicion rearing its head amongst his emotions. Naruto sighed and closed his eyes instead of engaging the man in a pointless conversation. He would not explain anything to Jiraiya. He wasn't sure the man could take the information in a serious manner. Besides, the less people knew, the better. Maybe there were too many who knew the truth of him and Sasuke already. He couldn't risk making a possible target out of someone who could go on with life without knowing the truths of Ninshu. He closed his eyes and dived headfirst into his subconscious. The calm, bright clearing that was Anna's change, compared to Konoha's loud, busy streets. Kurama was sitting up, already waiting for him. Naruto walked up to the fox and smiled, dipping his head. Ni-sama. Asura-kun. Kurama greeted, his tone more pleasant, now that he was here, visiting. How much do you think I can handle now? Naruto mused out loud. 6. Kurama nodded. Possible. Alter, your body is still developing, so I wouldn't push it. However, if there is a true need for it, I'm sure we could work in tandem, like before. Of course, you won't be able to form Varuna just yet, not without the others giving you some of their chakra, but it's fine, he waved him off. I just would like to know how much I can handle at the moment. Kurama nodded. Very well, Ototo, he said, offering a fisted paw. Naruto grinned brightly and bumped his own fist to the soft, fur-like chakra. The chakra that suddenly filled his system was wild and sharp like wind and as searing as the hottest of fires. It basked his body in an orange-red light, the cloak forming slowly, taking shape heartbeat by heartbeat. When he opened his eyes, returning to the real world, Kurama's chakra blazing around him and sharpening his senses 10 times to the usual level, he saw Jiraiya. The man was as unmoving as a rock, every muscle in his body ready to spring from his spot, his dark eyes narrowed, searching for the smallest sign of lost control. As their eyes met, he saw the frown, worried and wary all at once. So, his eyes were red. 3 tails is okay, Kurama murmured. Try pulling out more, but careful or it might burn you. Nodding mentally, Naruto carefully tugged at the link they shared, let more of the foreign chakra flood his bi. Jiraiya watched, his whole body tense, as Naruto took a meditative pose, probably already sinking into his seal. For several minutes nothing happened and he thought the kid might fail. Kushina herself admitted that using the fox's chakra wasn't easy, despite the fact that she had her chains, which helped restrain it and thus give her a better chance of remaining aware of her surroundings, while undergoing the usual Jinchuriki transformation. However, much to his shock, just when he was about to call out to Naruto to stop, chakra rose, no, it burst out of his body, like a fountain. The next minute, his body was covered by a bowling, seemingly living shroud of orange-red chakra, 3 tails waving behind him. What the hell? 3 at once, on the first try. Is it because of his Mokuton? Jiraiya thought in shock. The 6 whiskers were darker, more easy to see, his teeth sharpening into fangs, which peered out from his mouth. Then, Naruto opened his eyes to reveal bright red slits and he tensed for a second, fearing the worst. But there was nothing. There was no beastly bee in the gaze. Those were the fox's eyes, yes, but it was Naruto who was looking at him. Amazing. He can really control it. There was fluctuation in the chakra and Jiraiya was snapped from his musings. His eyes went wide, as he saw more tails forming. 1, 2, 3 more, until a total 6 were visible behind the blonde. Half his body was covered in solid, blackish-red chakra, resembling a grotesque shadow of the Kyuubi, while the other half of his body was still visible under the orange chakra. He noticed another stub growing, a 7th chakra tail forming, and then Naruto groaned, and faster than Jiraiya could react, the carvings on the wood surrounding Naruto glowed and vines grew from the platform to warp around his legs and arms. The chakra sizzled, like boiling water, and then it gradually disappeared. Naruto groaned again, falling on his back. That's just 6 tails. My body can't take the 7th. He sounded disappointed. Jiraiya couldn't understand why. By the sage's beard. That was amazing, kid. I didn't know what's your problem. You performed much better than I thought, considering other Jinchuriki need months to reach this level. Naruto glared at him, his eyes still slit, although violet. Probably the leftover chakra. Could you please refrain from cursing? Jiraiya rolled his eyes. Kami knows the blonde was growing to be too much like Tsunade. Sasuke wrinkled his nose, as it failed again. Having been the prodigy of Ninshu, he was rather unused to failure. True, Ever since they remembered it was different. He failed more often as he had to relearn everything he'd once known and used. Still, failing such a simple chakra control exercise was not something he was too happy about. Compared to the amount of control he had had over his chakra before, he was still lacking. Not bad. Sunid spoke, a surprised and pleased expression on her face. You may never be a medic, as your chakra is too volatile for that, but despite that, your control has places to grow and I admit, you're progressing faster than I thought you would. Sasuke nodded, not showing his irritation at the failure. Thank you, sensei, he said calmly. Have you thought about using poisons? She asked. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. I'm sorry, you don't wish to pursue a medical career, which he understand. But were shinobi, supposed assassins. Poison is a good way and your Sharingan gives you quick reaction time and higher accuracy than most bar the Hyuga. Using and knowing your poisons may be beneficial. And knowing how to counter them. Naruto may be the medic, but he may not always be there with you or your comrade. Sasuke felt thoughtful. Poison was a subtle, underhanded weapon. The weapon of a liar, but the world was no longer as straight and simple as it had been at the dawn of chakra. Besides, if Sunid taught him about poisons, he would know the anodes too, which could come in handy if Naruto wasn't around. Besides, he knew his plants well enough. You couldn't not know plants when gardening was your brother's hobby, and let's not mention said brother's ability to grow plants. Poisons sounds interesting enough, he commented, with an upward quirk of his lips. Sunid's eyes glinted. Wonderful. So finish another round of the chakra control exercise and while you rest, Shizune will help you with poisons. Unfortunately, I have to leave to do paperwork, but tomorrow I'm quizzing you on the poisons and the symptoms. As well as their anodes. How am supposed to remember all that for tomorrow? He bit out, half annoyed, half disbelieving. Gods above, as much as he respected the woman as a shinobi, she was annoying. More annoying than his brother. Sunid quirked an eyebrow, which was a bit too close to Ashura's, for his liking. You have eidetic memory, don't you? Sasuke growled. I so didn't sign up for this. He resisted the urge to send several Rabari after the Senju, when he noticed the smugness flash in her eyes, as she darted back into the office. He resisted it, but just barely. Naruto shook his head at Yamato. No, you get to be in tune with nature. Know you aren't a Senju and that Mokuton was never supposed to be yours, but a sate, if you have it. He sighed and sat opposite from Yamato. The man was, theoretically teaching him Mokuton jutsu, that Sunid and Jiraiya believed. But in fact, he was teaching the former Anbu how to handle his abilities with more deadliness and precision. Nature has an energy of its own. Mokuton connects us to that energy more than any sort of senjutsu can. That and there's a part in our chakra that enables creation. It's these two things that make up the Kekkei Genkai itself, so you need to calm down and try feeling nature around you. You understand what I'm getting at? Yamato seemed thoughtful for a moment, before nodding. I think so, he nodded hesitantly. Naruto smiled and extended a hand. Give me your hand. You may have an easier time trying to pull my chakra into the mix, as it is more potent. It may help you with the feeling as well. Once you have that, your chakra will remember it. Chakra remembers and it will leave a vague feeling, the shadow or the memory. Using that shadow, you may have easier time using the technique, until you practice it enough to actually know it. I see. It sounds interesting. Yamato took his hand and Naruto smiled, allowing his chakra to slowly tickle trough their link. Chakra is connection. It's understanding yourself, others and the world around you. And when you understand, you can connect. Those connections make it possible to reach wondrous things, as a part of our power comes from our souls and minds, the blown murmured. He sat there and allowed Yamato to take his time. They'd been going trough this for the past 2 days and now he was sure the former Anbu finally caught the concept. The concept of ninshu, as much as the concept of the jutsu they were working on. He felt Yamato mold his chakra and he did a few one-handed signs, before placing his hand on the ground and channeling his chakra into it. Mokuton, Shokucha Shokubatsu, wood release, carnivorous plant. The ground between them cracked and avenues flytrap grew from the soil, a lively green with accents of reddish pink, and it was as big as an average 8-year-old child. It was dangerously beautiful, as it opened its maw, ready to strike. Naruto grinned. See, told you it will work. Now we'll just have to refine it, so you can use it alone and possibly on a bigger target. Yamato smiled and squeezed his hand. Neji cursed colorfully in the privacy of his mind, as Naruto's blow sent him flying. The blonde's hits broke bone and he was sure he'd need medical attention, once this session was over. Good thing Naruto could heal, or both him and Hinata would have spent half the days under the hands of Tsunade-sama, and that would have raised questions. Even more questions than their random disappearances these days. He shifted, trying to land in a way that would cause less problems. However, he wasn't lucky, and as he rolled, he felt the ground even the metal of his headband. He felt the skin break and bubble up. Damn it, it hurts like hell, he groaned mentally. Neji ni. Hinata squeaked from the sidelines. Ever since they came here to train with Naruto and Sasuke, he saw the change in her. She was improving in her Juken, and from time to time Sasuke and Naruto showed him a new kata or combo, ones that neither of them knew, yet he was aware a part of the Juken. Perhaps time had seen the number of kata that had been recorded, and what the two were showing him were among the original ones, used by Hamura and Mitra Otsutsuki. She was improving as a fighter, and with her skill, so grew her confidence. Notch by notch, but it was growing. She was stuttering less and less, and she was now speaking louder. Well, around them, that is for now. Back at the compound, she was still feeling insecure, so she often reverted back to her shy self, but she was speaking up more and more, and Neji knew that the clan, especially her father, were picking up the subtle changes. Neji groaned, as he felt the pain shoot through his body, like a sharp blade, as he shifted. Soon, he felt, rather than saw, as the three appeared around him. He saw Hinata's wide, worried eyes, as well as Sasuke's much subtler, concerned frown. It was odd. Ever since he knew who the two were, it was easier to understand them, and it helped connecting. The more time they spent together, the more he felt that the two were their friends. Hinata. Hinata was becoming more and more like a sister. Naruto cursed under his breath, something about the moon, and he felt the warm chakra enter his body. Immediately, the sharp pain started to dull, and it was easier to breathe. Naruto reached for his headband. We must check that head. Despite his pain, Neji's hand shot to catch the blonde's wrist. He didn't want Naruto to see it. Don't. Naruto scowled at him and twisted his wrist out of his loose hold. Don't be ridiculous, Neji. I can heal you, and you know it. He didn't have the energy to tell the blonde that it wasn't his healing abilities that he doubted. Naruto removed his Hittite and used the sleeve of his shirt to wipe away the bee. Naruto went stiff, and Neji felt shame creeping up on his spine. What is hate in your forehead? The blonde asked, his voice calm and cool, but Neji sensed it. Such a tone from the usually jovial Senju meant danger. It's the caged bird's seal, he whispered softly. Explain. Sasuke barked, his voice cracking like thunder, and as Neji slowly sat up, leaning on Naruto, he knew they had no chance but to tell the truth. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.